All right, let's get it started. We have so much to talk about, so many court documents to go over. I know I've been putting out those 911 calls as I get them, and I just paid for another one last night. We'll talk about it. This is the case of JLR Investigates Jonathan Lee Riches and his fiance, as it were, ex-fiance Jaime Phillips, also known as Magnolia online. There are a lot of reports I've received, and I had to put them in order to make sense of them in my mind. Even the reports conflict with itself, like this December 27th, 2025 report. At the same time, it says, "There is no probable cause," says one report. The same report claims Jaime flew home this morning. He was arrested, so he missed his flight. No wonder people are like, what's going on? If JLR indeed did all these things he's being accused of doing, why wasn't he arrested? That's what we're trying to get to. That's what we're trying to get at here. So let's go over everything. I want the evidence to speak for itself. You know, people are kind of like, ooh, Plunder's really coming for JLR. And I'm like, to me, this is like any other crime case we would cover, figure out if there was an alleged crime that occurred, go over the court documents. I guess it just feels so personal to people because we feel like we know him. We've been watching him, enjoying him, traveling around the country for years. Maybe that's why it feels so weird and so personal to people. So let's do this. Will an arrest warrant ever be created for JLR? Now, according to the Chelan County Sheriff's Office out in Washington, the incident report that has come out, Deputy K. Talley determined there was probable cause to arrest Jonathan Lee Riches for the following criminal offenses: assault in the second degree, domestic violence, a Class B felony in Washington, harassments, threats to kill, domestic violence, a Class C felony, and then interfering with the reporting of DV, which is a gross misdemeanor. Let's go over all this evidence we have so far and make sense of what happened, what allegedly happened out in Washington State, which traversed the country. We have Florida involved, we have Garland County, Arkansas involved, so there's a lot to cover here. Of course, I've been putting in public records requests all over the country. Just put in another one in Washington to try and figure out what happened with this incident. Where does it stand? Okay, the Florida events at JLR and Jaime's home. I didn't realize they lived together. They purchased this home together. I assumed for some reason she just moved into his house or something, but that's why I requested Florida events at this particular home. I got a list at first, and so figuring out which ones are attributable to Jaime and JLR and what they all mean is where we can start. You'll see a list of all these events that happened. You know, I got rid of the ones before 2024 because it appears Jaime and JLR purchased the home November 1st, 2024. So there were some events in October of 2024. I don't know if they're attributable to them or not, but let's go on down the list and explain where we are, what we have. Let me break it down. I did a nice timeline. So right before potentially Jaime and JLR moved in together, there was this welfare check on October 10th, 2024 at this Florida house. Someone was concerned they hadn't spoken to a family member. They weren't answering their door. She was at the location. I don't know who this is. The officer made contact with the person, said he didn't want to talk. He went back inside the house. The woman had called because she hadn't heard from him because he was working late, but he had just gotten home a minute ago. Everyone appeared fine. Now that might have been the prior residence, but since it was so close to when Jaime and JLR potentially moved in, I still requested body cam. We'll see if I get that to see who it's related to. And then there was an October 28th, 2024 disturbance. The homeowner of this location, some rental property, the neighbor was mad that the caller put a fence up, and the neighbor has been coming onto caller's property and cutting back the trees, and you know, one of those neighbor fights. So if that's JLR or Jaime, we shall see. For sure, the warranty deed says by November 1st, Jonathan Lee Riches and Jaime Phillips bought a home together in Pasco County, Florida. I guess it makes sense because as Jaime put in her other report, They started dating at the beginning of 2023. So maybe they thought, oh, we really get along. 2023 went by, and then sometime in 2024, you started seeing Magnolia pop up quite a bit on JLR's channel. You know, I see in 2024 his community post, "Tonight, Magnolia X Rio joins me live for the first time to premiere a special audio production she created of Detective Todd Click's explosive testimony from the Richard Allen motion to dismiss hearing that was held on March 18th. So, you know, he's starting to bring Magnolia publicly onto his channel. I don't know how much she had been helping him in 2023 with his channel. But JLR Investigates also said, "New, we're expanding to a second channel. This is sometime in 2024. Make sure you follow Magnolia X Rio if you're not already. We film a lot of video in the field that never gets posted, so you can expect to see more behind the scenes content and maybe a little fun stuff too. Double boots on the ground." So it was really cute. Then by June 2024, JLR is promoting Magnolia's A Day in the Life video about some subjects. By Christmas time 2024, JLR and Magnolia, they're having a members only, and JLR is posting, "Merry Christmas Eve, everyone, church time." This cute couple, they're sitting there in church together. Again, you know, like I said previously, we all started to learn about JLR's past, conviction for fraud, serving time. He told us, yeah, that was my past, you know, whatever, I'm not proud of it, or whatever he says, I don't know. I've turned over a new leaf, and he believes in God, allegedly, and all this stuff. So many of us are like, who are we to judge? You know, if not for the grace of God, I would have a record, you know what I'm saying? So it was like, okay, this is cool. And I like Magnolia bringing her feminine energy and her wits and everything she brought to JLR. So they started celebrating, you know, he's posting, oh, we reached how many of our subscribers? 200K, 400K. And after a while, people started asking, where did Magnolia go? They noticed her presence was missing from his channel. I don't exactly know when she went missing from his channel. It was probably at least by August, I bet you, 2025. But as of Christmas 2024, you know, they're streaming live JLR Army members only live for Christmas with JLR, Magnolia, OJ, I guess that's his cat, and Rio, her dog. She has her dog now. "We appreciate all our members," they wrote. Christmas 2024 must have gone well, as far as we know. I don't know when the trouble truly started in this relationship. You know, people tend to, if you have relationship problems and you're really hoping it's going to go well, you want it to go well, you want it to get better. Sometimes, you know, you just don't say anything about the things that went wrong. I know by August 2025, Jaime claims, as we listened to on the previous video, that there was a vicious attack against her by JLR. Those are her allegations. And she called the Pasco County Sheriff's Office, and she was trying to see if she could retroactively file a report that she had not reported previously.
And I wanted to ask about, am I able to press charges against him or file police reports for incidents that happened previously that happened there in Pasco County? For example,
Plunder,
there was a very
vicious
assault in August.
Okay, so that's what she says happened August 2025. And she also says, oh, I know I should have left him. You know, they went out about 3 years. And I understand it's hard to break away from a person I'm sure she loves, you know, like you love a person. It's not so easy to walk away. By Christmas Day, Christmas time 2025, that's when this incident happened in Chelan County, off in Washington State. They're at this beautiful resort. It's the All Seasons River Inn. Jaime, it sounds like the type that, you know, she's not just going to lay down and take anything. She sounds like she was looking through Jonathan's phone, or she found, according to her, communications with other women or infidelity, you know, pornography, stuff she didn't like, and she confronted him about it. I'm not sure if that's what the August incident was also about, but they're off in this beautiful place, off in Washington. You know, it should be a wonderful Christmas romantic time. However, By Christmas Day, December 25th, 2025, it's like 9:18 a.m., Jaime is reporting that JLR assaulted her the night before. So around 10:21 a.m., this Deputy K. Talley responds to the All Seasons River Inn, talks about noticing scars on Jaime, everything. JLR has already left. I believe it happened the night before, and Jaime said she went to sleep. She woke up, her phone was missing. She had JLR's business phone, and he took his personal phone.
Well, I had a fight with my boyfriend last night, and he hurt me and left and took my phone, and I don't know where he is, so I'm stuck here.
What did he do?
What's that?
You said he hurt you? What did he do?
Yes, my nose. He hit me, and my nose is hurt. It was bleeding earlier. This happened last night, and then he left, and I went to bed. And now I don't know where he is, and he took my phone.
Talley requested that Rivercom put an ATL, which is an attempt to locate for Jonathan. So this is the body cam video and other stuff I've requested, which should be available according to officials. They told me by May 7th. So what's that, about another more than a month from now? Hopefully we'll see that. Obviously we won't see JLR since he had already left town. We should be able to see Jaime. You know, I don't know what they do out there. I think Washington blurs a lot, but it's at a hotel. Maybe they'll blur the inside. I don't know what they'll do. So that's what happened Christmas Day. Now, from there, I've got event reports from Florida. So 2 days later, December 27th, 2025, there's this call that comes in, information for deputy. This is the confusing call, and unfortunately, I can't believe we missed the cutoff. I mean, technically I didn't miss the cutoff. I requested this call, but by the time they responded to my request, 3 months or 90 days had elapsed since, today is Saturday, March 28th. I got some of these yesterday. So January, February, March, just by a day or two, I missed getting the call audio, 90 days, and it's deleted, which is sad because I would really like to hear the audio of this call, because this is the confusing one where it's all over the place. Obviously, Jaime was calling. It's saying, according to the notes, which is all we have, the caller was in Washington State on Christmas Eve night. Her boyfriend assaulted her and broke her nose. Boyfriend is now driving to location 1 from location 1, whatever that means. Maybe she's saying JLR is driving from Washington to his house. It says, suspect is currently in South Dakota per his location. So Jaime was able to figure out, she was able to track him. He's in South Dakota now. It says the caller advised that she is going to visit a friend out of state. So I'm not sure if Jaime flew home immediately. JLR wasn't there, I guess. She tracked him. She knew he was in South Dakota. Maybe she felt safe to go home at that point. But then she's telling 911 she's off to visit a friend out of state, just to, be away from his presence, I'm sure. I'm sure she was afraid because, as we listened to that previous call when she was still in Washington, Jaime claimed JLR was texting and, the hotel managers and the innkeepers were like, he's trying to get here, he's trying to get his property or whatever, he's trying to get into the hotel, and the cops told us, just don't respond, just let us know if he tries to call you and all that stuff. And Jaime had said at that point that Jonathan told her, I'm in trouble, what did you do? Which sounds so accusatory and blaming, putting the blame on her.
I'm about to leave the state, so I'm going to let them know that, and just other updates, because I think they're trying to arrest my boyfriend.
Okay.
They're looking for him. The reason I called this morning is because he had texted my phone, and he said, I'm in trouble, what did you do? That's what he said in the text. I didn't answer it though. I didn't even open it. The officer told me don't even open it.
Can you also add threats to kill for the ATL? Female was transported to the hospital. Myself with 31 are en route.
But this call, December 27th, goes on to say, provided caller with DV hotline info, advised caller to contact Washington State and request they send a teletype reference, a teletype referencing their active battery case and probable cause. So Jaime's calling Florida, Pasco, and like, look, tell Washington to call us to give us all the info. It's difficult because it's shorthand figuring out what they're saying. This deputy in Washington State called in. He was advised, he was told to call Pasco County. Advised there is no probable cause. Not sure what is needing. So that's what confused me. Now, who was this deputy from Washington State? You know, it's confusing because Deputy Talley, the one who responded to the hotel, is saying there was probable cause to arrest Jonathan Lee Riches. Now, 2 days later, December 27th, whatever deputy calls from Washington State to call Florida advised there is no probable cause. Not sure what is needing. So requested deputy to call him. So they're going back. Washington State and Florida are going back and forth about this case like, what do you need? And we're seeing at some point, Talley is saying there's probable cause to arrest Jonathan Lee Riches, put out the attempt to locate, but he left town, so he's gone. So now they have to deal with Florida, and someone from Washington is calling Florida to say there is no probable cause. I want to hear the actual audio, not just see the notes, but it's been deleted. Oh well. It says, per X37, the caller is just making us aware since they live together at the location. So Jaime is like, look, I'm letting you guys know what's going on here. I'm just telling you, I'm back in Florida. She claims he assaulted her out in Washington 2-3 days prior. They live in the same house. It's a heads up, like, okay. And this is another confusing point. She flew home this morning. He was arrested, so he missed his flight.
What?
As of this recording, I've looked everywhere. I can't find any evidence of JLR being arrested. Maybe what Jaime had told 911, maybe she assumed he had been arrested and missed his flight. Just like, you know, she said previously, I think they're looking for him. I think they're trying to make an arrest. And maybe she didn't realize they did not catch up with him in Washington. So it's confusing when the notes, and I know the call takers, you know, they're just taking quick notes, but it's like, she flew home this morning. He was arrested, so he missed his flight. That might have been her wishful thinking or her hopes of what had happened. I still have requests out, though. I'm still trying to find the details of all this. It says, looks like he's driving here, and she's going to leave the state before he gets back. Smart idea. But she wanted to make us aware just in case he gets back before then, or he gets back and calls her in as missing. So that's smart, you know. If Jonathan makes it all the way home to Florida expecting Jaime to forgive him for any wrongdoings, and you know, perhaps she's forgiven him obviously times before, according to her. If he got home and he's like, she's not here, she didn't want people to think she was missing. Per 10S can clear it, that agency will have to contact. So it's so confusing. A Washington deputy must have been advised to speak directly with Florida authorities. What came of it? Advised there's no probable cause. This is a critical legal detail. At the time of that note, the Washington State agency had not yet established enough legal evidence or probable cause to issue a warrant or request an immediate arrest in Florida. We don't know why. You know, is it because, you know, Jaime went to the doctor, obviously. We heard it on the dispatch. She went off to the hospital. And is it because Jonathan, of course, left? If he were on scene, if he had stayed there, if they had been able to, you know, for example, get photos of, oh, does it look like he punched her? You know, does he have injuries to his knuckles or any sort of evidence like that? Of course, any audio or video of the attack, the alleged attack, could have established probable cause in their minds. You know, they were trying to coordinate information back and forth. When it crossed state lines, it gets confusing. Okay, another event happens 2 days later, December 29th, 2025. Yeah, this is weird. I don't know why I don't have the 911 call for this. It just says no 911 over 90 days, but has it really been 90 days? I mean, this happened December 29th, 2025. So it's about 7:42 p.m. Nature, suspicious person. So I'm assuming this must have been Jonathan There's probably no body cam. If there is, I've requested it. We'll see if there's even any body cam to this. It was a suspicious person walking around. A black male was walking around ringing doorbells, wearing a black hoodie, bright colored shirt, and dark pants. So it was called in. So now let's move on to a lot of those calls we listened to in the most recent video I put up. They all came in January 23rd, 2026. The first one, 8:51 a.m. It says the nature of this event is a domestic violence injunction service. It says no answer at door, no answer at door, which I find interesting. Maybe JLR had left by then. But you know, we heard that call from his attorney saying it was 6:30 a.m. JLR was getting out of the shower. He had a towel wrapped around him. He saw some deputy leaving his home. He didn't see any paperwork or anything left. So maybe they tried to serve him. Well, now again, no answer at door. At some point he got served. So he was served for this domestic violence incident. That same day, we can move on a few hours. 4 hours later at 12:55 p.m., it says citizens assist. It says the caller wants to know, like we heard Jamie was calling, has this domestic violence injunction been served already? Possibly reference a hotspot. I don't know what that means, but the caller wants to know if she can report the previous incidents that occurred back in August to Pasco County. It says, I answered the caller's questions and gave her the office phone number for the domestic civil. So we heard all that. So there's a lot of these January incidents. There was a different call a couple of hours later at 2:12 p.m. and it just says again, provided phone number for civil. Now, obviously, I think Jamie must have still been calling. This is February 1st, 2026. I should have the CAD notes and the 911 call coming. I had to run off and pay for them yesterday. It's some kind of battery domestic simple delay. So yeah, they're like, okay, you got to pay $112.50 for all this. The labor per hour, 4.5 hours at $25 an hour, 6 pages. Okay, it's 6 pages. I don't know what it is about this February 1st, 2026 incident that took them longer or whatever. I don't know, maybe I went over the records request limit. Whatever, I happily went off and paid them. I wrote them a check. Unfortunately, I couldn't pay Pasco County directly. I like the ones you can just pay them, you know, put in my American Express number, pay, and send it to me. They are still snail mail. Well, I sent it UPS to them. So I went to UPS. That's why I was rushing last night. Got that video up and got to UPS by 7 p.m. before it closed. And I'm like, how much to get it there by Monday? And she's like, whoa, $130 something. And I felt like Chris Rock, like, oh, how much for just one wing? You know, like. No, I just said, how much to get it there Tuesday? It was cheaper, $56. So I already wrote them the check for $112.50. Sent it off for $56. So good enough. That's why I think a lot of people don't do these public records requests. They don't want to take the time and they don't want to pay the funds to do all this stuff. But this battery domestic simple delay is police shorthand. So battery, under Florida statutes, battery occurs when a person intentionally touches or strikes another person against their will, and it does not necessarily require a visible injury. Even an unwanted shove or grab can qualify. So wow, wouldn't a lot of people be in trouble for that? I know people are, you know, still debating Jamie's injuries and that enhanced photo that Nerdy created to try and get people to see the injuries on the bridge of her nose and all that. We will see what comes out about this. Domestic indicates, of course, a domestic relationship, somebody living together, whatever. Simple means there's no aggravating factors, like there wasn't the use of a deadly weapon, or it says, or the infliction of serious bodily harm. But to me, if her nose was indeed broken by JLR, and that's only allegations right now, that's pretty aggravated. Anyway, delay in dispatch terms means the incident is not currently in progress. The victim or witness is reporting an event that happened earlier. So I'm assuming this February 1st, 2026 call came in It came in likely because Jaime was trying to find a way to document what she claims were previous vicious attacks, like the vicious attack in August. She didn't get into details there. That's what she says happened. So I'm assuming that's what this February 1st, 2026 call is for. And so by this point, Jonathan's been served. Things are heating up. Like if you go to the Jaime versus Jonathan case info in Arkansas, we can see a case is filed January 20th. Then the order of temporary protection, it's like scheduled. Stuff gets pushed back. But by February 2nd, 2026, Jonathan Riches was served in Pasco County. Order of protection. So as things are heating up at the beginning of February, I find it interesting timing. This February 1st, 2026 call, likely that Jaime made to Pasco Police. You know, what else happened February 1st, 2026? That's the day that Nancy Guthrie went missing. Nancy Guthrie was reported missing, so I also find that interesting. It was probably really convenient and attractive to Jonathan to get out of town, you know, with all his own alleged legal troubles heating up with his fiance, partner, whatever you want to call her. He allegedly called her his fiance when he was, you know, talking to the Washington people at the Rivers Inn place, you know, trying to get into the room. And, you know, I know how people do it, like, oh, my fiance is there and I was there with my fiance, making themselves sound a little bit more, I don't know, credible and stable. And I want to get into that room. So whatever happened, they're not together anymore. Thank God Jaime's safe. But I'm thinking she's calling February 1st, trying to report a prior incident of battery. I don't know how that went. Again, we will see. I'm wondering, JLR, he's home, he's alone. Jaime's not there. His case is heating up. He's been served. Maybe he was afraid of being arrested. Maybe JLR was afraid at any day now someone will come and arrest him. Oh no. What could be better than go hit the road, go camp out in front of Nancy Guthrie's home and cover that case for months and months, or days and days and weeks and weeks. That's my thought pattern. I don't know. I haven't looked exactly when he arrived in Tucson. Case is still heating up, you know, all through February in Arkansas. There's a copy of an order of protection and all that stuff, and there's a continuance, and there's the St. Patty's Day, March 17th hearing finally held. We went over that transcript really short, great. The latest, most recent thing we see as of basically yesterday, March 27th, 2026. I was glad to see this. An e-filing for a notice of appearance of an attorney for Jaime. Jaime and JLR, they have their 3-year no contact order against each other. And now, as of yesterday, Jaime's attorney makes a filing an appearance. Jonathan's attorney, we heard his attorney in Washington on the phone, you know, talking to Pasco County like something was going on and he wanted to see what do we need to do to get you guys. And, you know, he saw a deputy leaving his place and what do we have to do to, you know, get this squared away. We heard that quick call. So we'll see in Arkansas where this case, where it goes. The case type is an order of protection right now. Will it evolve? Will a case in Chelan County open up? Or, you know, the jurisdictions can be confusing. So all we have to wait for now is, of course, the rest. We have body cam on the way, which might take until May 7th. We have April 21st, about 3 weeks or so from now, this order of protection hearing in Hot Springs. I want to find more photos of this huge Hot Springs tower I went up in, and we walked all the way down. I walked, and oh, it was beautiful up there. Anyway, it does not mean that Magnolia or JLR will be at that April 21st hearing, because I remember reading somewhere in the transcript, I remember reading they don't have to appear. So this might be something where the lawyers just duke it out. Who knows if it'll just be pretty quick. So that's what we have for now. If you haven't listened to all the calls I've published so far, go back and listen to all of those. Who knows? This case sounds confusing. It seems sad. I still need to go listen to other videos of ex-girlfriends who are allegedly coming forward with some harrowing stories. I don't know. Again, if there's no probable cause, maybe Jonathan won't be arrested. If at some point there is, maybe he will. We have to let the evidence speak for itself always. We have to let God do his perfect work, You know, I know it gets frustrating sometimes with domestic violence victims, male or female or whomever. You know, some of them will always say, oh, police didn't take me seriously enough, or they didn't have enough evidence, or Lord knows, God knows what happened here. He will resolve it. And that's all I want to know is what is true, and I want to see justice performed. You know, if Jaime truly was hurt at the hands of JLR, I don't want him having the opportunity to do that to her or anyone else ever again. It's just sad to me. Some people might believe, oh, Jaime just has it out for him. She just wants to take him down because she's a woman scorned. She helped him on all his channel. He hit all these milestones while she was with him. And I don't want to bend over backwards like some people are doing. I guess to defend either side, some people are bending over backwards to do whatever. What I want to do is get the actual evidence as it stands and present that to you guys. Isaiah 66:2, has not my hand made all these things, and so they came into being, declares the Lord? These are the ones I look on with favor, those who are humble and contrite in spirit, who tremble at my word. That's truly what I hold on to. You know, we don't have to take all these crazy sides and create crazy stuff. I'm just really at peace and relaxed in God. Like, God, whatever you want, evidence out there, it'll be out there. Whatever truth needs to come out, it'll come out. And I just rest in that, in Jesus, and we'll see where this case goes. We'll continue to dig in, get more records, get more evidence. I'll publish it. I'll put screenshots up different places. Follow me on Facebook and Patreon. Thank you so much for watching all this. We'll see what happens next here and in many other cases. Take care. It's so hot that it kills the parasites. Water you can actually drink. This is amazing.